Hello there everyone, it's Isaac here, back with another video, and because I am going to probably try to start streaming soon again, because I did do several test streams today, and it seems that I finally figured out how to get a stable connection through, I figured I'd make a video about some basic pieces of equipment, both in software and hardware, I recommend for Nitro Type streamers. Now, I made a video a while ago about equipment I recommend for Nitro Type YouTubers. Some of these are going to be the same, but these are going to be more suited for people who like to stream. We're just going to get right into it. My word is not the law. Don't go out and buy any of this stuff if you don't think you need it. Because, in all honesty, you probably don't need any of this to stream. It's just, it's recommended if you're going to be serious about it. So first things first, look into a dedicated microphone. I have the HyperX SoloCast. Fantastic microphone for streaming. I also have a microphone arm on it so that I can just push it away and pull it back towards me if I need to do that. It has a tap to mute button so I can mute it really quickly if I need to. Because you can mute your microphone in OBS. It's not hard, but it does take time, so if you do need to mute it immediately, it's a pretty good mic for that. I know there are other microphones that have that same functionality. I think the Blue Yeti is generally like one of the best microphones you can get for the price. However, that might have changed. I haven't researched microphones in a little bit of time. But yeah, getting a dedicated microphone, even if it's not expensive, is a decent thing to look into. Look into the pattern, because if you're typing, for instance, mine is a Carter word pattern, so it doesn't really pick up too much behind it, which is my keyboard's generally behind it. I mean, you can still hear my keyboard really well when I type. It kind of shows how loud the keyboard is and how sensitive the microphone is, which is a good thing. Getting a dedicated mic has its advantages because it's going to be better quality than the one built into your computer. If you have a desktop, you're more than likely not going to have a built-in microphone. I have yet to hear of a desktop with a built-in microphone. Some monitors have them, but they're probably really bad. Not any better than a laptop's built-in microphone. It just overall lets you have some more flexibility, much better sound quality. That ultimately is going to depend on your audio bitrate you put up. And I believe I'm on 160, so the highest YouTube accepts, which is not very hard to fulfill even on a really slow internet connection. But yeah, getting a dedicated mic is always a good idea if you're going to be serious. I also recommend getting a microphone arm of some sort or a stand of some sort. You don't necessarily need it. Like, mine came with a little stand, but not like a microphone boom arm, and that's what I have right now. If you look in my setup tour, which I did a while ago, I show exactly where that is. It's just on the edge of my desk, and I can move my microphone back and forth if I need it. And then also getting like a pop filter. I have a pop filter on my microphone. It definitely helps out a little bit, not too much, but it does help. But yeah, those are all recommended things. Again, you don't need them, but if you're gonna stream, please use audio. Please talk. You can stream without doing that. It's just not recommended. It's a little hard to communicate with people. You either have to type in like a chat, either for your live stream chat or maybe like a sticky pad or notepad extension you need, or just Windows Notepad. I don't know, but it's just easier just to talk. Next thing, if you like doing streams like I like doing my streams where I have a webcam, looking into a webcam is also a decent idea, either for your face or for your keyboard. Now, if you have a laptop, it's probably going to be for your face. You can't really use it for your keyboard because you'd have to like bend the laptop in a really weird way. Now, I actually have two webcams. I have one built into my gaming laptop, and that's kept off to the side. It's kind of a secondary monitor. And I've got one sitting on top of my monitor, my primary monitor. And that one's a lot better. It's still not fantastic. I kind of wish I did a little more research, maybe spent a little bit more money. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think they make the model I have anymore. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Excuse me. I recommend getting one that's at least 1080p. And recommend getting one that's 60 FPS, although you can go down to 30 if you want to. Just know that if you're trying to do a 60 FPS stream, you may or may not run into a few issues. I don't know. I don't stream at 60 FPS. I'm sure it's not much of an issue. It's just your webcam isn't going to look as good as the rest of your screen does. So, you don't need a webcam, and it's generally recommended for YouTubers too, especially Nitro Type if you want to do hand cams or anything like that. I do hand cams on all my streams, or I try to. I don't really do face cams on my streams or my videos, although I have revealed my face before. Although you probably won't see a very current image of myself anywhere. most of my videos where I use my face are much, much older videos. I'd say my first 15, 20 videos, mostly I'll use my face. Not all of them do, though. So if you want to see what like a really young looking version of me and sounding version of me, go check out some of my really old videos. Another thing, look into getting a comfortable desk and chair. Now, I'm a bit of a hypocrite here because I have a pretty nice desk, but I don't have a very nice chair. It's just a chair from downstairs kitchen table, and it's an extra chair, so it's not like I have to give it up when we have guests over. I have had to do that once before when we had a lot of guests over for like a big family get-together. But I recommend getting a comfortable chair. It will pay off in terms of your comfortableness and probably less back pain when you get a little older. Because if you're spending like serious time at the computer, you definitely want a comfortable chair. Now my chair isn't uncomfortable, it's just not very ergonomic. It's like a wooden chair with like a pad on it for sitting on. It's not all that comfortable, it's not all that ergonomic. I have found that my back hurts a little while every once in a while, which I guess is normal if you sit down for long enough, but still, getting a comfortable desk and chair. I guess moving on to the desk, it needs to be decently large. I don't like streaming when I have like absolutely no room on my desk. I remember when Penguin Typer upgraded his desk, and he said he loved it so much more. It was a massive desk compared to his old one. I've got a pretty good sized desk. In fact, I actually have a tape measure here. I can measure it. Let's see. As long as it's not any longer than 6 feet. It's always nice having a tape measure on hand on your desk. It's about 54 inches. It was 4 feet 6. So, pretty decently good sized desk. It also goes back to about 2 foot 5 inches. So it's a decently good sized desk. It may not sound all that large, but believe me, it is. And I have like a bunch of drawers, so that's how I was able to pull out a tape measure really quick. I just have a bunch of easy access stuff. I've got some screwdrivers in there. I've got all sorts of good stuff. I need to clean this desk out, but yeah, good quality desk is always important for streaming. Another thing is that if you have Windows or Mac, get OBS. It is maybe not the most simple streaming software, but it gives you so many more options. You can choose pretty much anything you want for quality. There's a lot of settings, so make sure to watch videos about that. I have a few basic videos about that. But do your own research. Do watch videos of people who really, really know how to use OBS. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, so don't ask me. But yeah, OBS is fantastic. Don't get the Streamlabs. I know it may look better, and it probably does function better. It's harder to run, and it's a ripoff of OBS. They literally took OBS's name without asking permission. So just get OBS, obsproject.com. You can download it for Mac, Windows, or Linux. I don't know if any of you use Linux. If you do, comment down below. I'd be very interested to hear that. Maybe one person I can think of that might have used Linux before. But yeah, getting OBS, it's fantastic. It has a lot of like a ridiculous amount of settings. In fact, one of the reasons I was having so much trouble streaming was because I had a few settings that I needed to change. I had it set on constant bitrate so that whenever it went below that bitrate, it would start dropping frames, or maybe a little bit below is fine, but once it started actually getting below, it would start dropping frames, it would start getting really laggy and bad quality. Now I have it on variable bitrate, and that seems to help quite a bit with the stability. Like, I've literally noticed we get less drops for whatever reason, like not just dropped frames, but the speed stays literally the same, whereas constant bitrate, it seemed to not want to stay the same. I don't know why. Maybe that's just my router's logic being dumb, but I don't know. Another thing, access to Ethernet. You can do a live stream on Wi-Fi, but it is not recommended, especially higher quality. I'd streamed on Wi-Fi for quite some time, and I never really had too many issues. I did find that switching over to the 2.4 gigahertz band was helpful, and there are videos showing you how to like automatically do that in Windows. All over YouTube you can look, but especially if you sit far away from the router and you have absolutely no way to access Ethernet, which is hardwired internet where you run a cable from your router directly into your computer, assuming your computer has an Ethernet port. It's generally recommended, but yeah, if you do sit farther away from your router, use 2.4 gigahertz. It'll penetrate walls easier. We have a mesh Wi-Fi system, so there's different Wi-Fi points. Wi-Fi signal is generally pretty good in our house. The speeds can be a little finicky depending on the day, and they have been getting better. But it's not as good as it used to be. I don't know why. But yeah, access to Ethernet will be a lot more stable. I find if I directly plug into the router, I rarely, if ever, drop frames. So I don't use direct Ethernet. I plug into a power a powerline Ethernet adapter. It uses my electrical. It actually uses my electrical cables to transmit data, which you can do because they're both copper cables. Both electrical and Ethernet are copper. So you can essentially use that. It's not as fast as Ethernet, but it's still a lot better than Wi-Fi. And last things last, and arguably most important, have a secondary screen of some sort. You don't have to go out and buy a monitor. I have a laptop, a gaming laptop sitting to my right, and a monitor on a monitorizer in the center. I really like this setup. I think it's very ergonomic and it's fantastic for video recording and streaming. But you don't necessarily need a laptop and a monitor or 2 monitors. If you have a phone, which most of you do, I actually share one with my brother because I really don't need my own phone. I don't use like a phone that much. I just use a computer a lot. Like a tablet or a phone, if you can borrow a sibling's computer, whatever, it's really helpful to have a second screen because you can read chat without having to switch tabs. Because before what I'd have to do, go to YouTube Studio, pretend this is YouTube Studio, if you know what that looks like, race, and then you'd have to check the chat, race, check the chat. Now I never had to do this. I had a tablet, and I still do have this tablet as a third screen, so I technically have 3 screens in my setup, and I can get a 4th because I have another tablet that's older that I don't like to use because it's slow. But if I needed 4 screens, I could do that, or 3 would be like my max right now. But yeah, 3 screens, super helpful. I never use my tablet when I stream anymore now that I have a laptop and a monitor. But yeah, having a secondary screen of some sort is super helpful. Another thing that's useful is if you can't do this, there should be a button in YouTube. You can make a little pop-out chat. It'll open up a separate window in Chrome. You can put it like here or here, or wherever you want to put it. And then, when you type or click on anything, it will go away. But if you want to check chat, you can just click on that and it'll pop up. It's probably better than having to switch tabs all the time. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. There is an Ask Me Anything going on. You can ask me anything. It does not have to be related to Nitro Type YouTube. You can ask me about my personal life. You can ask me personal questions. You can even ask things involving personal information as long as it's not political and it's not super controversial. Don't be afraid to ask any question. If you have a question, ask it, and I will determine whether I answer it. I will be answering most of the questions. It's just like, give me your exact address. I won't answer that. But yeah, make sure to enter that. I'll link that in the description. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. That's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.